Hello guys and welcome back to AWS Cloud Computing class, and in this video we are going to learn what is the uh, access management into AWS and how to create the user, how to manage the user, how to create the user groups and roles, and how to create the billing alarms for your free tiers or even your production environment. Okay, so let's start with today class and today video. So I am use the traditional identity concepts such as the users, groups, and access control policies to control who can access your AWS accounts, who can access your services, who can use your services and resources, and how they can use them. That's also you can control with the help of IAM into AWS. So IAM is a very powerful services that allows you to control how people and programs are allowed to manipulate your AWS infrastructure. Okay, and the control provided by IAM is the granular enough to limit a single user uh, to the ability to perform a single action on a specific resource from a specific IP addresses during a specific time window. So that's how you can also have the control. You can also have the control by your IAM, and it's an AWS services that helps an administrator securely control access to AWS resource. So IAM administrators control who can be authenticated and who can be who can be authorized to use the services. IAM is an AWS services that you can use with no additional charge. You don't need to pay for IAM use. You can create any number of users, groups, roles, and you don't need to pay any single penny to the AWS. Okay, so application can be granted access to the AWS resources whether they are running on premises or in the cloud. This flexibility creates a very powerful system that will give you all the power you need to ensure that your AWS account users have the ability to meet your business needs while addressing all of the security concern of your organizations. All right, so so it's a great solution for using the Active Directory in the cloud. They have their own AWS directory services, which is an Active Directory compatible directory services that can work on its own or integrate even with your on-premise Active Directory as well. Finally, if you are working with a mobile app, you should consider another applications they have into the AWS. That's the Amazon Cognito for identity management for application mobile applications. So there are authentication technologies into the AWS use cases. If there is the operating system access, then you are going to use the Active Directory LDAP machines. If there is application access, then you are going to use your Active Directory, your application user repositories, or the Amazon Cognito. If this is something the you are going to use the AWS resources, then you are going to use the IAM, and that's how you are going to control your users to access the resources. So IAM can be controlled either uh, via the AWS management console or with your CLI command prompt or with the SDK tool as well. So there are the root user. Root user is the user when you when you are going to create your AWS accounts and you are using you need to enter your email ID, and your email ID would be your first root user. So and that have the unlimited access to your AWS account. Okay, so you begin with only a single sign principal that has complete access to all AWS cloud services and resources into the accounts. This principal is called the root user, and that will be your email ID. It will be always your email ID to log in the AWS console. And once you created your account with your root users, it's best practice to do not use this root user for any other on the other use. It's just for the account creation, and you don't need this root user to manage them, where rather you should create the another IAM which have the administrator privileges into your AWS accounts. We will look into it what's the best practice also, so we will go into it also. Okay, so IAM user, and IAM user is an identity within your AWS account that has specific permissions for a single person or the application. An IAM user can have long-term credentials such as a username and password or a set of access key also. Any IAM user can have. So there are tips. Users are an excellent way to enforce the principle of least privilege. That is the concept of following a person or process interacting with your AWS resources to perform exactly the task they need, but nothing else. So you are going to provide in the exact same privilege to a user as per their their jobs and roles. So in the IAM, what is the first concept? That's the principles. You need to understand what the principle is in the IAM. So a principal is nothing but an entity that is allowed to interact with AWS resources. So a principal can be permanent or it could be temporary, and it can be represent to a human or it can represent to an applications. Basically, there are three types of principals available in AWS. That's the first is our root users, and another second one is the IAM, the normal users, and then third, last and but not the least is the roles and temporary security tokens. So these three are the principles in IAM. So here let's talk about what the IAM groups are. So an IAM group is an identity to that specifies a collection of IAM users. So it's always a good idea and the best practice to create groups and add them into the users, and depends on their roles. You just create, let's say, the groups for the administrator, one group for the salesperson, one group for analyst, one group for different teams. So based on them you create the group users, same exact same as if you are managing your Active Directory or another type of, if you are managing another users in another application. It's the exact the same concept in AWS also. So you can't sign in as a group. Obviously you can sign in as a users but not as a group, and you can use groups to specify permissions for multiple users at a time, and group make permissions easier to manage for large sets of users. So you don't need to assign the permissions to a single users, and if you have the 100 users into your environment, so it's always a bad practice if you are assigning the permission to a single user rather using the groups. So always create groups and assign add the users into the groups, their associated groups, and then assign the permissions to the groups. It's always a good idea, a good practice. So the third one is the roles, IAM roles and security tokens. So roles and temporary security tokens are very important for advanced IAM uses, but many AWS users find these are sometimes you can get confused. So let's talk about what the roles and what the security tokens are. So roles are used to grant specific privilege to specific actors for a set of duration of time. These actors can be authenticated by AWS or some trusted external systems. And when one of these actors, assumes any roles or any type of role, and then AWS provides the actors, with a temporary security token from the AWS security token services that the actors can use to access. Okay, so this is the STS. If you know the Kerberos authentication process, there are also the token services. Token, you will get the token for a specific time of period to use the services into your infrastructure. So that's how you are going to grab the tokens, the temporary tokens into the IAM also. So requesting a temporary token requires specifying how long the token will exist before it expires. So the range of a temporary security token lifetime is 15 minutes to up to 36 hours. So IAM role with a temporary M role, and the temporary credentials are useful in following situations. If you can you can take a look into the Amazon EC2 roles. Let's say to granting the permissions to applications running on an Amazon EC2 instance, and cross account access and granting permissions to users from other AWS accounts, whether you control those accounts or not. So but you can grant the access. And the federations and granting permissions to users authenticated by a trusted external system as well. And AWS service access. A service role is an IAM role that a service assumes to perform actions in your AWS account on your behalf. application running on Amazon EC2. So you can use an IAM role to manage temporary credential for an applications that are running on your EC2 instance. So don't get confused with EC2. We will cover it in detail what's the EC2 instance. But for now, you can understand the EC2 is our servers into the AWS cloud environment and making okay, so and EC2 instance and making AWS CLI or AWS API requests. Okay, so Amazon EC2 roles. So granting permissions to an application is it's always be, that it's a tricky job. So you need to understand what the permission you have to assign to whom. So it's always tricky things, but you must understand. So using IAM roles for an EC2 removes the need to store your the AWS credentials into a configuration file. You know. And to create an IAM role that grants the required access to Amazon S3 buckets, you can also give the roles, grant the roles to users so that they can access your S3 buckets. You don't need to manage and save the keys and remove any, save the keys and removes any need to store an access key in a configuration file. API access uses temporary tokens, hence you don't need to be rotated your access key. If you are going to create, you are going to use your, there are a couple of scenarios where you need to create the access key, and then in the if you have created the access key, you are using the access key rather your roles, then you need to rotate your access key to make your environment secure. So let's take an example about this access key. So let's say a policy which is granting the permissions to read and write that bucket can be created and assigned to an IAM users, and applications can use the access key for that particular IAM user to that particular S3 bucket objects. So the problem with this approach is, you need the access key for that particular users, and it should be must be accessible to the applications, and probably you are going to be storing in some sort of, the configuration file, this access key into the configuration file, and then process for obtaining these access key and storing it encrypted in the configuration is sometimes, very complicating, and even it's the hindrance into your environment. So the access key is sometimes is at risk when being password around, it just passed it's someone else, or and finally when the time comes to rotate the access key, the rotation involves performing that whole process again. So you need to request your access keys, then rotate them. You need to keep them into some safe place so no one going to hack them or steal that access key. So there is some problem with this access key. So it's this situation is going to be overcome by the role. So that's the AWS recommended practice, is to use the role rather access key. So benefits of using, what's the benefits? That's cross account access. So another common use cases for IAM role is to grant access to AWS resources to IAM users in another AWS account as well. Whether you have the, whether you IAM roles into the different accounts, but you can give the permissions and grant your access, your AWS resources into your different AWS account. So these accounts may be other AWS accounts controlled either by your company or outside agents, like your customers or your suppliers. It could be. Then the federations, IAM identity providers provide the ability to federate the outside identities like the Facebook, Google. So login with Amazon with IAM and assign privileges to those users authenticated outside of IAM user. So there are the three types of principles, and their general traits are as following. If you can take a look here. So we have three principle I just covered just little bit earlier. What's the principle are? So we have three types of the principles: root user and their traits. I am, the root user. You cannot be, the limited cannot be limited, permanent. I am users access control by policy, durable, and can be removed by IAM administrators anytime. And this root user, it's the full access, and it's always be your email id which is used to create your aws account at first time. And roles temporary security token, it's access control by policy, temporary expire after a specific time of interval, so from 15 minutes to 36 hours. So that's the okay. So this is our basic principles and traits. So let's go to our next topic. That's the authentication. There are basically three ways to authenticate a principal in with IAM: username and password, access keys, and and the session token. So let's go with the username. So first is username. When a principal represents a human interacting with the console, the human will provide a username and password exactly same way as you are using doing into your day-to-day life when you are you know opening your own system or opening your server or any even on your mobile as well. You need to just provide the password in mobile application, but most of into the if you are going to use your computer, then you need to provide also the password with along with your username. So IAM allows you to create a password policy enforcing password complexity and expiration. You can create the policy, and based on your policy, and it will give you the control what type of how many characters you can be used. And it could be the special character, small uppercase lowercase letters into the password, and how many character would be minimum password minimum characters into your password you can use for your IAM user. So you can create and you can enforce that password complexity. We will take a look when we will you create a IAM users. Access keys. An access key is a combination of an access key ID, that's the 20 characters, and an access secret key, that's the 40 characters. So another one is a source session token. So when a process operates under an assumed role, the company the temporary security token provides an access key for authentications. So the access key and the token also include a session token. Calls to AWS must always it must always include the both the two parts access key and the session token to authenticate to your AWS resources. So just take a note. It is always important to note that when an IAM user is created, it has neither an access key nor a password, and IAM administrator can set up either or both. And even when you created your IAM user, by default IAM user doesn't have any permissions to your AWS resources, so you need to add the explicitly permissions into your IAM user. So let's take a look this process how it's going. So you can see it first the username and password going to the system, then to the user authenticating to AWS console with IAM user account. They put the username and password. They are going to ask the access key ID and access secret keys. So the application authenticate to your AWS with API, and then the access key ID and access secret session, and then users or application using the security temporary token. So these are the three identities authenticate with AWS. Okay, first one is the username and password, another one is the access key ID, and third one is access key ID plus secret key access key. Okay, so this is the different identities available in AWS. So authorization is don't get confused with authentication and authorization. So authorization is something what task you available the eligible to perform on a particular resources. But authentication, you are authenticate to log into there, but you don't have permission to but you are not authorized to perform any task. So that's how it's the difference in the authentication and the authorization. So the process of specifying exactly what actions a principal can and cannot perform is called the authorization. So authorization is always handled in IAM by defining specific privileges in its policies and associating those policies with the principals. Policies are nothing but all they are just the JSON file. It's in the AWS. If there is some, if there is any questions into your exams or even your day-to-day life, so policies always be a JSON documents. No any other options in AWS. So if you know the JSON, it's going to be good for you. So, and document that fully defines a set of permissions to access and manipulate AWS resources. Policy documents contain one or more permissions, with each permissions defining like the effect, services, and resources uh, into the policies. Let's say a single word, allow or deny, whether you are going to allow or deny to your resources. Then the services, what type of services you are going to define into your policies. And last but not least, that's the resources. So the resources value specify the specific AWS infrastructure for which this permission applies. This is specified as an ARN. We will look into it what is ARN. So as of now, it's the resource name. So the format for an AWS ARN is, you can see it here, and the ARN, then AWS, then services, reason, account ID, and resource type and resources. So this is the very basic format for your AWS uh, um, ARN. So ARN is, this is the default one, and then the second one is always be the partition, in which partition your resource is in, and it's always be your the AWS here. And then there is the services. So services, this one is the service which identify the AWS product for IAM resources. So this is always be IAM if it's IAM. And then the reason is the resource where your resources reside in which region. So it could be the blank. If you are going to create your IAM user, it would be there is no reason here, because the IAM user is the global user, and you are not need to specify. Even you won't get this reason name into your IAM EAR, and you will get this double colon instead of the reason name here. And then the account is the AWS account ID with no hyphens. It would be something like 1 2 3 4 5 6 or something like that. And then the resource is the persons that identify the specific resource by their name. So that's how it's designed. Okay, if there is, so just remember, if you are creating your IAM, that IAM role is always a global service, and you don't need to create IAM user into one account, into one region, and then into the second region, because it's the global applications. It's a global services. So let's see, it's here, so you can see it, few of them. Amazon S3 bucket, AR and AWS. That's the my AWS, then my S3, then in which in which region they are, what's their account ID, what's and their bucket name. So that's how it's look like. Okay, guys, these are a few sample ARNs. So action, the action value specify the subset of action within a service that permissions allows or define denies. Condition, you have the conditions value optionally defines one or more additional restrictions that limit the actions allowed by the permissions. So let's take a look how policy look like into AWS. So this policy allow a principal to list the objects in a specific bucket, and to retrieve those objects, but only if the calls comes from a specific IP address, because we have the source IP address is specified here. If we have, we don't specify this and just asterisk, enter the asterisk, but asterisk here into the source IP address, that means we are open for any IP address. So that's how it's look like. This is the JSON format. So in the version statements and their effects, the allow and their actions, what's their actions, they can get the S3 get objects, S3 list bucket. They can't even create object, but they can get object and list object, and their condition IP address only from a specific IP address they have assigned. And this is the source IP address. If there is a request coming from different IP address than this IP specify IP address, then they are getting the access denied error. And what type of resources is, and it's AR and AWS S3 colon colon colon. That's my public buckets. That's my bucket name. So that's how it's look like into your into it look like as a policy into the JSON format. So yes, any a policy that can be associated directly with an IAM users in two ways, whether the user policy or these policies exist only in the context of the user to which they are attached. So in the console, a user policy is entered into the user interface on the IAM user page, and there is the second option is the managed policy. So managed policy are already built in into the AWS. So these policies are created in the policies tab on the IAM page and exist independently of any individual users. Yeah, so some policies can be associated with many users or groups, so there is no limitations. If I mean, you cannot, there is no limitations to assign one policy to particular one users or one resources. You can assign one policy to as many as users or groups you want. So this is the picture how it's going to assign. So we have the IAM users, IAM groups, and here is our policies. So how it's uh, this is its structure. Okay, so it's associating users with a managed policy, associating users with users and group policies. So how it's look like, you can see it. So I am user, this I am user, it's this is the member of this I am group, and this I am group, the associated two policies, one policies and the second policy associated within this I am groups, and they we have two users, I am user one, I am user two. These users are associated with these groups, and this group only have one policies, and here you can directly assign the the users policy to the I am users directly here, you can see. And this is the users defined policies, and assigning directly to IAM user instead of the IAM groups. You can also assign this policy to your groups, your user policy to the groups. That's, you can take a look at here. Your IAM user is a member of this IAM group, and then you assigning the policy to your IAM group instead of the IAM users. So we have the multi-factor authentication, and it's always the best practice to enable this multi-factor authentication. There are two types, whether you can use the hardware device for the multi-factor, or you can use your software device. I'm using the Google authentication for my multi-factor authentication, so you can use them. It's very easy and uh, quickly. So multi-factor authentication can add an extra layer of security to your infrastructure by adding a second methods of authentication beyond just a password or access key. With MFA, authentication also requires entering a one-time password from a small device. So the MFA device can be either a small hardware device you carry with you, or a virtual device. As I mentioned, it could be the Google Authenticator via an application on your smartphone. MFA can be assigned to any IAM user's account, and it's always, it's strongly even recommended if your root accounts, it must be rec- protected by your MFA, because if this account have unlimited access to your AWS account and your resources. So rotation keys, it is a security best practice. If you are using the access key to rotate your access keys in some period of time, I am facilitate this process by allowing two active access key at a time. So the process to rotate keys can be conducted by the console CLI or the SDKs. So there is we have the this following process. So first you need to create access key for the user, then reconfigure all application need to use the new access key, disable and the original access key which you have created earlier, and then verify the operations of all application, and then you have to delete your original access key which you have disabled in step 3. Okay, so because just in case there is why we are disabling here and using it into the application first, because if there is something going wrong with your new key, then you are going to lose your access for particular application. So it's always the best practice, first disable it, test your new access key with your all applications, and if everything is fine and as expected, then you can delete them. So there are the the conflict, sometimes there is some conflicts on into the permissions. So it's initially the request is denied by default. Okay, so if there is a uh, if you are creating a user, that's by default deny the user not going to access any single services. All the appropriate policies are evaluated. If there is an explicit deny, found in any policy, the request is denied and evaluation stops. If no explicit deny is found and an explicit allow is found in any policy, so the request is allowed. If there are no explicit allow or deny permissions found, then the default would be deny is maintained and the request is again denied. So that's how it's uh, the conflicts and policy permissions into IAM. So let's take a look into what is the AWS RAM, the Resource Access Manager. So AWS Resource Access Manager lets you share your resources with any AWS account or through AWS, even AWS organizations. So let's say if you have the multiple AWS account, you can create resources centrally and use your AWS RAM to share those resources with other AWS accounts. So what's the benefits, why we should use them? So there are some couple of benefits also. So AWS offers the following benefits: reduce the operational overhead. You can create resource centrally and use AWS RAM. We call it as a RAM as an abbreviation, and to share those resources with other AWS accounts. This eliminates the need to provision duplicate resources in every accounts, which reduce operational overhead of obviously. And then it provides security and consistency. It's govern the consumption of shared resources using existing policies and permissions to achieve security and control. AWS SageRAM offers a consistent experience for sharing different types of AWS resource. It also provides you the visibility and durability, audibility into your AWS account. So you can view the usage detail for shared resources through integration with CloudWatch and CloudTrail. And AWS RAM provides comprehensive visibility into shared resources and accounts. So that's how it's you can use this RAM into your AWS. So there are some exam essentials we are going to cover into this last session of this video. So you need to know what's the different principle in IAM. There are three different principles. Okay, so the root user, users, and the security token. Know how principles are authenticated into IAM. You can authenticate into the through the management console, CLI, or the SDK. And the parts of the policy. You must understand how the policy going to allow or deny specific IP address, what type of resources. So you just need to take a general idea how policy work. How a policy is associated with a particular principles, how to understand. You need to understand MFA, enable the MFA into your environment. You need to also understand how the key rotated. You also have some understanding, better understanding of IAM roles and federations, and know how to resolve the conflicting permissions. Okay, so these are the exam essential from my sides. And always, it's always a good practice to hands on dirty on the AWS to get the expertise into AWS. Okay guys, so in our next videos we are going to create IAM groups, users, and going to assign some policies on our resources on S3 buckets and our resources. Okay guys, thank you and best of luck.